Love and peace to you. This is a verbal discourse on our Welt Ethos. My name is Peter Johansson Osisi, and I work with our Sona Ashram. And this is an introduction to some teachings from Buddhism regarding the fourth principle of our Welt Ethos, referred to as Haya, sexual ethics. Haya meaning modesty, but in the context of sexual ethics. So, the Buddha is an ascetic, and he practices celibacy. And the Buddha teaches a doctrine, a dharma, that of celibacy. He teaches celibacy. He is clear and unequivocal in his conveyance, his teaching of celibacy, and so. The Buddha refers to sexual intercourse as a rough, rude, or gross type of behavior and activity. It is he essentially references the passions or the pleasure that's gained through such activity as a trapping, and one that causes that eventually essentially leads towards suffering. He calls this the a lust or something to that effect. It is the yearning for becoming, essentially. And so there's that consideration, just a plain and simple teaching of celibacy. The Buddha also teaches that even the institution of marriage is fraught with challenges, and that that even the within the bond of marriage there are there is hierarchy, there is subordination, there is comparatively superficial evaluation and valuing of others in terms of who is worthy of whom else. And so the Buddha admonishes even this practice as well. So the Buddha teaches celibacy, and this is within the very basic precepts. Again, the five basic precepts of discipline within Buddhism. And this is conveyed within the Brahmagala Sutta of the Digha Nikaya, within chapter Uno Ocho, chapter 1, verse 8. Or he might say, putting away unchastity, Gautama the recluse is chaste. He holds himself aloof, far off from the vulgar practice from the sexual act. That is the Brahmagala Sutta, chapter Uno, verse Ocho, chapter 1, verse 8. And so again, it is a matter of recognizing the in pursuing the pleasure, the affinity that is experienced within sexual activity, that there is intrinsically involved an experience of suffering, because even within the experience of pleasure, there is suffering for fear of losing that pleasure, and so that unduly has that has an undue influence in how we proceed within this temporal realm, and so that's what the Buddha addresses. But again, the Buddha also admonishes the very institution of marriage itself, describing it as a process of undue valuation and evaluation, of establishing hierarchies within society and between individuals, that is comparatively irrelevant in terms of gauging one's genuine experience of wisdom and righteousness. And this is conveyed in the Ambata Sutta in the Digha Nikaya, chapter 2, verse 1, chapter 2, verse 1. In the supreme perfection in wisdom and righteousness, Ambata, there is no reference to the question either of birth or of lineage or of the pride which says, "You are held as worthy as I," or you are not held as worthy as I. It is where the talk is of marrying or giving in marriage that reference is made to such things as that. For whosoever, Ambata, are in bondage to the notions of birth or of lineage, or to the pride of social position, or of connection by marriage, they are far from the best wisdom and righteousness. It is only by having got rid of all such bondage that one can realize for himself that supreme perfection in wisdom and in conduct. That is the Ambata Sutta, chapter 2, verse 1, chapter 2, verse 1. So the Buddha essentially teaches that to lead an ascetic life, to let go of the householder life. And particularly because within the ascetic lifestyle, there is less concern about the conventional trappings, standing, status, power, influence, riches, that sway people and influence people in essentially the rat race, to assert oneself, to establish oneself, and one's family. And so the Buddha teaches that these tendencies lead to transgressions, and undue subordination and subjugation. So the Buddha teaches that the ascetic lifestyle provides the opportunity for increased pursuit of spiritual transcendence, concentration on this discipline compared to the household life. And so in referring to the basic tenet of Buddhism, the fourfold noble truth, the quattrofold noble truth, the Buddha refers to references this notion of lust, and the nature of suffering that exists within this. And this is communicated within the Samanya Phala Sutta 97. With his heart thus serene, made pure, translucent, cultured, devoid of evil, supple, ready to act, firm and imperturbable, he directs and bends down his mind to the knowledge of the destruction of the deadly floods. He knows as it truly is, this is pain. He knows as it truly is, this is the origin of pain. He knows as it truly is, this is the cessation of pain. He knows as it truly is, this is the path that leads to the cessation of pain. He knows as they truly are, these are the deadly floods. He knows as it truly is, this is the origin of the deadly floods. He knows as it truly is, this is the cessation of the deadly floods. He knows as it truly is, this is the path that leads to the cessation of the deadly floods. To him, thus knowing, thus seeing, the heart is set free from the deadly taint of lusts, is set free from the deadly taint of becomings, is set free from the deadly taint of ignorance. In him, thus set free, there arises the knowledge of his emancipation, and he knows rebirth has been destroyed, the higher life has been fulfilled, what had to be done has been accomplished. After this present life, there will be no beyond. That is the Samanya Phala Sutta 97. So, the deadly floods can generally be understood as the susceptibility to the senses, and essentially indulgence within the senses, indulgence within the pleasures that are experienced through the senses, and that includes the experience of sensual or sexual pleasure as well. And so the Buddha describes the intrinsic existence of suffering that is latent within that experience, and how spiritual transcendence involves transcending that experience and those pursuits. So those are some teachings within Buddhism regarding the fourth principle of our Welt Ethos, Haya, modesty, also within the context of sexual ethics. Ananda Shanti.